Hello?
Hi, Janine. We hear you.
Hi,
Oh, we're
perfect, thank you.
muted. Okay. Hey, Jenny. Okay.
Okay. Hey, Bill, how are you? Good. I see Frank over there. Hi, Frank. Yeah, maybe. J-E-N-E-N. J-E-N-E-N. It doesn't like that, does it? Yep, and then it's M-I-L-A.
We can suggest that to the board chair
Hold on a second. I need to look it up.
under item
Like, where's that?
6.
M-I-L-A-A-O-B.
Well, yesterday I was in the emergency room
Oh, no.
having tangoed with a particular succulent in my backyard that I didn't know was toxic and got in my eyes a fire stick and spent the succulent. Oh, I was in massive pain. Went to the urgent care. They flushed it a bit, put some numbing on. Oh, felt a little better. Went home, just came right back. Like, and I'm just, groaning in pain. Can't see, just like can't use my phone, can't do anything. And then call back to urgent care. They're like, go to the ER. And then they numbed them again, so you can at least not be freaking out. And then pry my Ios and put this cup inside there with a hose on it and just drained liters and liters of saline for like a half an hour through my eyeballs inside. Like I got pictures of me, my eyes closed, these tubes coming out. Oh, really weird feeling. But then it just was a manageable pain. And they gave me some pain meds and other drops. They say, just give it a while, it'll get better. I had no idea. We had 12 of these. There's not there anymore. Gardner's already been there today to get rid of them. But get rid of those. One had fallen over. My pool was full and I had to go drain it, and it had fallen over the path down to where the valve is. And I'm like, oh, I had a show. I chop, rip that thing out like I would any other plant. Didn't think any of it. And apparently something got in my hands, and then apparently it found its way into my eyes. And yeah, no fun. But then they talked to other people. Ken Munson, who's on the board at North County Fire, had told me about this when we were in the Rotary together, and it had happened to him, but I didn't put two and together until after it happened to me. Like, oh, that's the plant he was. Dude. Oh no.
Sitting on your couch. Oh, that's good.
Wow.
Right.
Wow. You guys have been having a heck of a time here. Yeah, I know. It's like, all right, we've had our share. No mas, no mas.
No, we took her all the way to.
Oh yeah. timing is important with those things too. If you get in there quick. Yeah. Yeah. The folks at Palomar let me moan and groan in the waiting room for about a half an hour. Yeah. Hmm. I couldn't drive. My wife, well, at that point, I'm just like, my wife's up there cajoling them. She claimed they put me ahead of 12 other people. I'm like, geez, but I didn't hear anybody else moaning and groaning out here. But yeah, everybody's got their issues. Nobody's at the ER because they want to wait around for 3 hours, but that's what you do.
Yell after Shane stall, you know you're not.
Yeah, that's right. Oof.
There we go. Mike's on. We good?
Yep. I think
All
we got
right.
a quorum here.
Yeah, let's call this thing to order and pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. Well, welcome. Item 3, roll call. Bill, shoot, I'm present. Hayden is out of town.
Out of town.
Janine's online.
I'm here.
Okay. Bill, present. Okay, and Cynthia's out. All right. Do we have to read this, given that there's somebody online, or is there
Are there any public members?
present?
We do have a calling
Okay,
user.
all right. If at any point anyone would like to ask a question or make a comment and have joined this meeting with their computer, they can click on the raise hand button located at the bottom of the screen. We will be alerted that they would like to speak. When called upon, please unmute the microphone and ask the question or make comments in no more than 3 minutes. Those who have joined by dialing a number on their telephone will need to press *6 to unmute themselves and then *9 to alert us that they would like to speak. A slight pause will also be offered at the conclusion of each agenda item discussion to allow public members an opportunity to make comments or ask questions. All right, we do not need to seat any alternates. Item 6, additions, deletions, amendments to the agenda.
If we could, we'd like to defer item 12. We don't have any new information for you, and there's a lot of other stuff to get through here, so
Okay,
might as well just speed things up a little.
all right. Yeah, it seems like we got a lot to do today. Anything else? Okay. Item 8, the March 2nd minutes. Everybody could take a moment to refresh their memory there on the minutes, and if I could get a motion to approve.
I think we missed number 7.
Oh, sorry. Numbers, I'm going to go back to number
There's a
7.
long list of public comments.
Any public comments relating to items not on the agenda?
And we didn't receive any written comments.
Okay,
Check.
check. 7. Okay, now we're on 8. My bad. Approval of minutes. So again, we got a motion to approve the minutes as written for March 2nd.
I so move.
Second.
I second it.
Okay. Roll call.
Member,
You need my name?
member Shoot,
Aye.
member Malakovich,
Aye.
and member Stewart.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, item 9, general manager comments.
So I have a couple things today. One is, as we talked about last month, Cynthia retired. And as what happens whenever we have a position, especially a supervisory or some sort of position go, we do an analysis of the job description and how it fits, and what it was made. And when Cynthia's role was created, there was kind of a hybrid role because she was already doing some of the communication stuff, but in a different role, took that on. So it was one of those kind of mishmash jobs. But now Carlene looked at the situation and what our needs are. and came up with a plan that the board has approved, where we restructured the customer service supervisor position to be solely a customer service supervisor. And the pay grade got adjusted and other things changed. But within that, there was leftover dollars compared to what the previous grade the job was at. Enough to go out and find a part-time communication specialist. So a part-time position, 16 hours a week. And in order to test the market, Carlene posted the job in before the board. She's very confident. And we've got very good response to that, but the board did sanction it. It's actually saving us money in the budget overall, but we'll have someone who's dedicated to this committee and the communication stuff. We don't have a real need for somebody full-time to do communications the whole time because it's just too small an agency. And many agencies do, but I think it's a waste of money. This person, a part-timer, won't get the same kind of benefits that we have to pay other full-time employees, so it makes it a lot cheaper. And so we expect to be hiring that person pretty soon. They'll be here for these meetings and they'll kind of fill the role that Cynthia did here. But they're not going to be distracted. One of the challenges Cynthia and other people who've tried to do this have is there's their day job and then the communications part, right? The primary role they do is answer the phone, putting out fires in customer service or whatever else they're doing. And then they try to strap on the newsletter and things like that later on. And who knows, maybe we'll get ChatGPT to write our newsletters in the future. But so we're hoping in the next couple of weeks to go through interviews and hiring. When does that job opening close?
It closes Sunday night. So
Sunday
by
night.
by Monday, I'll be screening the candidates.
So
scheduling-
we have how many applicants so far?
We have 45 so far, and I've got about 20 to 25 that are pretty decently qualified.
And one who I do know that was surprised to me that this person would have applied for this because I know where they work now, but boy, if we can land this person. But who knows? There's probably other awesome people too. She hates it when I do this because it's the wrong thing to say, but because I'm
Yeah.
prejudiced. I'm not going to be on the interview panel. So just so you all know. But that's good news. The other thing related to water, and every month I've been talking about the snowpack and all that sort of stuff. Last month, until last week, we had that big early rain in January, and then it flattened out. And it was starting to look like a repeat last year when we had the real heavy snows in December and then nothing. Well, that didn't happen. It came back with a vengeance. And so Robert and I were talking about it. We expect to see massive amounts of Northern California water coming into San Diego County come this summer. Because with all the problems in the Colorado, they're forecasting 2 more atmospheric river systems to come through during March. And they hope it doesn't happen, but they think they might trend to be warmer, which may cause flooding problems because it melts all that snow. I mean, it was snowing in Temecula yesterday, apparently. And so it snowed everywhere. So we do expect to see the whole state of California system topped off. The governor even pulled back on some of the restrictions for outflows out of the Delta into the water systems that were there from the salmon, and environmental protection. But everybody sees there's just these huge torrents of water coming down. And it's like, come on, guys. So he took back some of the restrictions so they could move more water into storage. Hello. So that's a positive. And so while we do expect to see how the train wreck of the Colorado is going to sort out, there's going to be cuts. It's going to happen. How it all gets apportioned, I don't know, but at least we'll have State Water Project water coming up this year. And they say we're moving into an El Nino cycle where we've been stuck in La Nina for the last several years. And this might come around. We'll have a couple of wet seasons, which would be good for supply, bad for sales.
So they're gonna try to fill all the local reservoirs as much as they can with
Well,
this flow.
Yeah, I mean, the local ones are filling up, but the local ones really help Sweetwater, but the big ones,
Diamond
Orville,
Valley,
oh yeah, Diamond Valley will get filled in with State Water Project like it had.
right?
And so when the governor releases the water out, they just start pumping it in there. And so it was 4 or 5 years ago, they topped damn near every reservoir in the state off.
Yeah.
And it's looking like that's gonna happen. And they can do it in one season. It's amazing.
Orville's already,
Orville's above its
There.
seasonal average, but they're leaving space because there could be flooding.
Yeah.
So we've seen what happens when that thing
Yeah.
get too much.
the spillway.
So
gets
that's one of the
wrecked.
challenges. You got to time this right. And that's why so much studies going into atmospheric rivers.
Sure.
On the negative side,
Hmm.
we got word last week at the Water Authority board meeting that the calendar year 2024 rate proposal, now it's still early, they're not done with it hasn't been put to the board for vote, is going to be about 14% increase of wholesale costs to us. And that's just their average wholesale rate increase. The last time they said their whole average was 6%, but it was over 8% to Rainbow. So obviously that didn't go over too well with many board members, although we had some people like Jim Medaffer from the city of San Diego saying, oh, you can't put a price on reliability. And we're like, well, yeah, we can. And this is a little over thing that one of the things about it is that they've got a problem with the Twin Oaks Valley treatment plant down here. It's been offline and it's 100 million gallon a day treatment plant, but they run it on average of about 25%, maybe a little more in the summer, but they built way more capacity than they need 25 years ago, thinking, oh yeah, demands will go up. Well, they didn't. So the contract they have with the company that runs it, they get a baseline minimum 25% pay whether they make the water or not. And they pay them for doing it. And the plant's offline and will be offline for, I don't know how many more months, Robert, because of pipeline work they're doing. And so it's going to be another couple more months, but we're paying for it. The price of the desal is going up to over $4,000 an acre foot
Oh,
based on
man.
the intake modification.
Wow.
And then they've got $4,000 an acre foot desal water. Rainbow did not vote in favor of that. Let's make sure. Then they've got the problem with Lake Hodges Dam. The Lake Hodges Dam is failing, and the state has made them lower it even further down. That thing's crumbling as they keep finding as they bring it down. There's more and more crumbling concrete. And so now the water that's in there, they can't get it. They can't run the pump system between it and Levenheim. They can't run the pump hydro system. They have a deal with SDG&E that's supposed to generate revenue. It costs about $3 million to operate that facility, whether you're getting revenue or not, because they got to keep all this big expensive stuff running. And now they're not getting any revenue from it. But in one positive note, even though it ends up being a financial negative, they're forecasting sales of only 360,000 acre feet a year. For the first time, they've come down to what I think is a reasonable amount. They've always over forecasted, right? Because if they put in their budget, we're going to sell 400, 420, that cost per acre foot gets way lower, right? Because most of the costs are fixed. But they're one of the reasons it's so much higher is because they're forecasting 360,000 acre feet of sales. And I think that's appropriate because City of San Diego, Sweetwater, Helix, Cuyamaca Reservoir, Loveland Reservoir, Lower Ota, all those reservoirs that are owned by other agencies down south are going to fill up this year. And those people aren't going to buy water from the water authority. And so next year they're going to have less sales, which, I agree with that.
And they don't want to
But-
let us look.
But the challenge with this is, that's right, that has a direct financial impact. Those guys, local supplies is going to cost our ratepayers because we don't have them. They do. They're all going to be fat and happy. We're not. And so, but the problem with 360,000 acre feet is that the water authority has take or pay contracts for 330,000. So we're less than 10% away from, one more state of California edict of water conservation or one more wet year away from now paying for water that we don't get and can't use. And that's the worst space you could be in. In the water business, take and pay contracts are great, but once they add up to about more 50%, 60% of your portfolio, you're playing with fire. We're over 90% take or pay contracts at the water authority, which several of us have been pounding the table for years saying, this is coming, right? This whole thing, you're going to go down here. You keep saying you're going to do this, but you're going here. Well, we're almost there. I thought it wouldn't happen until the end of this decade, but it looks like it's going to happen sooner. So,
And that doesn't take into account Pure at all.
right. That doesn't even start at that. Yeah. Once that's, the first tranche of pure water, which is probably 4 or 5 years out, is going to be 30,000 acre feet or 35,000. And then Helix Padre Dam was done a couple of years. That's another 15,000 acre feet. And so you start going, whoa, there's 45,000. We're under already. That's assuming we're still in buying our 15,000, right? But they've got a problem structurally in how they've set the thing up. Those decisions seemed good 25, 30 years ago, but hindsight is 2020 and now adaptive management is needed. So that's the fun part. One of the good things in the detachment update, I'll mention it, but it means that our forecast for savings were low because we didn't forecast 14% increase.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's going to be 14.
That's what the initial one is. Now they'll probably whittle it down, I imagine, because everybody's freaking out about it, but it's not going to be 5. Probably going to be 10 or 12.
It's going to be over 10.
Yeah, be my guess. I don't know, but
Okay.
But the other problem with all these things, all the problems I've got down there, 0 of those things benefit this district up here. We don't, We don't have access to that stuff. We don't get the water. You know, it doesn't help our ratepayers whatsoever. So.
Okay. All right. Any other thoughts for item 9?
Nope.
Questions for the general manager?
Yeah, does the work we're doing to build our new pump stations and storage, buy more water directly from Met help us at all?
Right.
In this,
As far as the supply side or
in
the
terms of
cost?
passing through this whole rate increase, if we can't, when we buy directly from Met,
We only can avoid the transportation charge, which is holding steady at $173 an acre foot in this current proposal.
and what's our current acre foot price total?
Oh, the total, 1,800. Well, it depends on if it's PSAR water or not.
So it's about 10%.
Yeah, roughly.
Okay,
But the wholesale average all-in cost for non-PSAR water is going to be $2,200. Just a hair under that.
I just had one question about I read an article this past month about, I'm gonna get the term wrong, but prehistoric water, where they're drilling super deep wells out in the desert. And they're proposing to pipe that, I think, into southern Orange County or something.
Yeah,
Um,
Cadiz or something like that.
Yeah, that's just that's not on the horizon for consideration, given all the hurdles that they have for that.
Yeah,
Or
there are the paleo water, stuff like that. There
Paleo,
are places out there that have that. I think that there's some folks tapping into it in certain areas, but there's a couple challenges with that. One is that it's super deep and super challenging to get out. But there's also can't be replenished. That water got deposited there ice ages ago. So once you pump it all out, it's gone.
Mhm.
There's also certain questions about if you do pump it all out, how does that, what's it doing down there supporting other
Mhm.
structures in the mantle? And so, but I think most geologists think that it isn't a problem to put like subsidence you might see in
Mhm.
close to surface groundwater. But
Are
there was a guy from the USGS who told us when I worked at Levenheim, there's paleo water down there that we might be able to get to, but you add up the cost of getting to it, it starts to become cost prohibitive.
But there's nobody in the county that's pulling water like that.
I think that some of the part of the project that Sweetwater operates gets into some of that deep water down there, but I don't quote me on that, because I remember talking to one of their operators about that. But it's just, you know, I think that it's not a replenishable resource.
Mhm.
And so sure, you could extract it, how much, how long, but then don't rely on it, because once you've taken it all, you'd have to wait thousands of years for it to come back. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's a really good long-term management plan to go after water that doesn't have
Sure.
capacity for replenishment.
and if we did that, we're probably too close to the ocean anyway, wouldn't it mix?
It really depends, you know, the subsurface geology
Yeah.
could have a thing to where they're not tied whatsoever.
Yeah.
But it depends, it's very site specific.
Okay. All righty.
Pardon me, my wife is calling me. I'll let you, Chad
Okay.
handling his next one there, so.
Yep, but first, item 10, committee member comments. Any comments from the committee, Bill?
No, nothing,
Okay.
nothing today.
All right, Janine?
No, thank you.
Okay, and I do not have any.
I was just gonna say one thing, and that was,
Nope, sorry.
I'm very happy to hear that the Cynthia was appointed to the committee and is gonna remain a part of our.
We're not quite sure of that yet.
Oh, we aren't?
No.
Oh, okay.
There was a little late breaking news that she's gonna let us know.
There was some confusion. I had it on the agenda thinking that she was going to, but I
Mm.
think she's gonna hold off for a little bit, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
I think there's some Cabo in the future and we'll have to figure out.
long duration Cabo.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out how that works.
Okay,
Yeah,
All
but
right.
if she does decide, it would be great.
Yeah.
Great. for the
be
committee.
helpful.
Okay, item 11, CIP update presentation.
Can everyone hear me okay?
Sure.
We can't,
Yep.
Chad.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. All right, I'm going to share my screen. Let me know if that's showing up okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. This was originally given to the Engineering and Operations Committee at their February meeting, and then we were scheduled to give it to the Budget and Finance Committee. However, they didn't have a quorum, and so I skipped it. But I'm happy to be here at the Communications and Customer Service Committee.
Thank you.
So as we do it, I don't know if everyone has ever heard me give a presentation, but I like it to be very open, free flowing. So if you have any questions or comments as I go, please just interrupt me. I will stop talking and we'll address it then rather than saving questions or comments to the very end.
Great.
With that, so this is the red signifies the district's boundary. So you can see all the way up to the most northeast corner where it says the McGee Pump Station, and then a project all the way down in the southeast corner, the wastewater treatment plant permanent emergency interconnect and pump station. So those pins signify active projects, and we currently have 12 active projects going. Most are potable water. We do have one sewer project going right now, and that's the Thoroughbred Lift Station. And then what's not shown on this map are the district-wide projects. So we have the San Luis Rey Groundwater Recovery Project, where we're currently in the recon and analysis phase of that project, but it's district-wide. The manual transfer switches on some of our old equipment where the technicians have to go out and manually hardwire live power facilities. We're switching those over to much safer things. Water system monitoring program. This is for SCADA, where we're upgrading with all new radios and SCADA equipment, and then take maintenance. So if I put pins for all of those, it would just completely, you wouldn't even be able to see the map anymore. So those are district-wide. So we have 12 active plus those other ones that are going on. And we're going to talk about each of them. So just kind of to give the committee an order of magnitude of what dollars we're talking with, when it comes to potable water projects for fiscal year 22-23, the fiscal year we're currently in, about almost $7.5 million on potable water. On wastewater, there was budgeted for 10.9. We're making some mid-year adjustments, and the project that we're working on is a higher dollar amount, but it's a multiple fiscal year project. So, but in this fiscal year, that's what's allocated. And then we have the wholesale water efficiency projects. Bill Stewart, I think you were talking about some of those pump stations that'll help us get water from our northerly connections.
Yes,
Those projects align with those. And so almost 5 million in there. So we're spending some good amounts of money, and I really thank that finance department for always finding it for us. I'm going to minimize our picture so I can read the slides. There we go. So the first one is the San Luis Rey Imported Return Flow Recovery Project. We're in the planning phase. We just had a meeting just about a week or so ago where we got some pretty good news that there is some good potential spots in the lower basin. And I got to their maps. That's kind of like a Sandag GIS map, but it shows all these different creeks and rivers and canals, and they all have these historic names. It was pretty cool to see that. And we had, I think, Tom, would we have at least one PhD and then several just very high level scientists. So we were all just geeking out during this meeting. It was a pretty fun meeting. Project percent complete, 5%. We're in the early stages right now. It currently has a budget of $600,000. And to date, we've spent a little over $35,000. Okay, why will it not advance to? Okay, there we go. The water system monitoring program, again, so this is what you're viewing there is a picture of our SCADA. So if you walked over into the operations bullpen, we have multiple large monitors up on the walls, and it shows these, and you can see that tanks are offline. Tom was alluding to all this rain we're getting. And so these tanks, we're not selling a whole lot of water. Everyone's, oh, thank goodness for the rain, but as a water district, we really want to sell the water. But the SCADA system allows certain valves can be automatically controlled. So it saves district personnel from having to drive to these sites. And for anyone that's ever been to the McGee pump station, you know, as the crow flies, it looks pretty close, but to get there, it takes you 35, 45 minutes just to get there. So this can save a lot of time. And so we upgraded every radio throughout the entire district that talk to one another, all line of sight. They all needed to be upgraded. This project is nearing completion. So we'll have a notice of completion before the board of directors in the next couple of months. It's going very, very well. The Camino del Rey waterline relocation. This is a County of San Diego driven project. They are going to realign Camino del Rey mostly with their vertical alignment. They want to make some longer lines of sight on this. And to do that, it would make our existing water line extremely deep. It's already deep. This would make it too deep for us to ever work on. And so part of this project is installing a new water line and then making all the connections, fire hydrants, whatever's needed, and then abandoning the old line. This has a very low budget of $25,000. The project itself, Tom, do you remember the year that we first did this? Was it like 2017 or 2018?
Yeah.
It goes back a ways. We got an engineer's estimate way back then, and it was a little over $3.5 million. And with inflation and cost of everything now, that's probably closer to a $5 or a $5.5 million project now. So why do we only have a $25,000 budget? It's because the district had an easement before this was ever a county maintained road. And so our legal counsel and our staff have asserted to the county that the district has senior rights. Therefore, the county must pay at its sole expense to do all of the work necessary to keep our water line where it needs to be. So we're working with them. When the county got the engineer's estimate, they have since pushed this project out a few years. So we're tracking it, we're working with them, and eventually it will come to fruition.
And could you just explain a little bit more why the water line needed to be relocated? I didn't quite track on
That line right now in certain areas, it was built in the early mid-50s, and that was just a dirt track going out there. And then as the county became a road, they would raise the elevation of it, raise the elevation. We saw this on Camino del Rey and Encinitas. I'm sure Chad remembers because he was.
Oh, yeah, El Camino Real.
They'd keep increasing the road height just for drainage and whatnot. And the pipe just keeps getting deeper and deeper. Ours in certain places there, I think it's 16 feet deep now.
Yes.
12 feet deep. I know I've seen it dug up 12 feet deep now. And if they raise it another 5 feet, then it becomes almost 20 feet deep. And that's untenable. And the pipe isn't designed to have that much soil on it.
Yeah.
And it just makes it impossible to work on.
It's going to be in the same spot, but it's just going up.
If the horizontal alignment would be the same, it'd just be, well, they'll probably move it over to the side a little bit, but the vertical alignment will move it up to 4.5 feet deep. And
County have to write the check.
And then
well,
the
the
raise-
first they told us we had to. And
Of
I dug
course.
around on GeoViewer and found easements.
They always do.
You don't have an easement if you're in a county road, because the places where in the public right of way, we don't have easements.
Right.
Where we have easements, there was no public road. So we were first in time. And then therefore, they paid.
So they're raising up the road to keep the.
Yeah,
flooding from
it's a
happening.
flooding issue over there. More than, they may be doing some sightline realignment, but it's primarily flooding. If you ever drive there.
Oh, yeah, no, they closed it off.
It was shut down,
Yeah.
flooded out.
Okay. All right, thank you.
No problem. Okay, the Live Oak Park Road Bridge replacement and water line relocations. So another County of San Diego capital improvement project. The district has 2 water lines that are strapped to the side of this bridge. If you've ever driven on Live Oak Park Road at the intersection of Gumtree, you probably didn't even know you drove over a bridge, but you did, and the county is replacing it. And so we have, I believe it's an 8-inch and a 16-inch water line. And so both of those need to be relocated as part of the county's work. So this one, we were able to partner with Hazard Construction, the same contractor that the County of San Diego is using, which is beneficial. It saved us some time and money for going out to bid. They had already just competitively bid the County of San Diego's project and we're the low bidder. And it makes it to where our contractor isn't held up by the county's contractor and vice versa. They're blaming the district for holding up their work. It's all their work. So if they're pointing the finger, they're pointing it at themselves. This one is about 40, almost 45% complete now. It's been going very well, and not a lot of budget spent on this one yet because they have to do most of the county's work and build the new bridge infrastructure before they can get to our section. So this one's going to ramp up here very quickly. There has been a couple of change orders on this one. Unfortunately, when the county put their project out to bid, they had informed the district that the pipes and the pipe supports were included in their drawings. And then after it was awarded, the district was informed that the county had deleted those portions from their project. And so we had to, after Hazard was already awarded the job, issue those change orders. So that's unfortunate, but it is going, and we have the funds available, so we're proceeding. This is anyone that's ever heard me talk about this project. I absolutely cannot stand its name. The Rainbow Water Quality Improvement Project has nothing to do with Rainbow Water's water quality. It's the another County of San Diego capital project. This is in the heart of the Rainbow area. We were just talking about roads flooding. There were several roads. I was out there yesterday, I believe, and there were several roads closed due to flooding. But this is they're going to be installing a lot of culverts that's going to hope to increase the quality of their groundwater that's going in from the surface water runoff. As a result, you can see where that excavator on the picture to the right is locating. You see those black boxes, those are meter boxes. These culverts are much deeper than the earthen channels right now. And so we have to relocate our water services and the customer's backflow devices. And in a couple areas, we even have to relocate our water main. SDG&E, Cox Communications, AT&T, all utilities are having to do this for the county. This is not the same as Camino del Rey. This is the district is footing the bill on this one because the county did have senior rights. So when they come out and if they have senior rights and they say, you know, we have a storm drain, but it's 12-inch and we want to make it a 48-inch so it could handle a 100-year flood, and the district happens to have a water line that's conflicting with their proposed new storm drain, we would have to relocate at our sole expense. It's the way the agencies work. The good news is when they bring it to us, they don't just say, all right, so make it happen. We actually communicate with our finance department. All right, when can we get this into the CIP plan? And then we coordinate with the County of San Diego. So it's not like a jump to, or we're pushing off other projects of ours to get to theirs.
Okay.
Were there questions on that last slide?
Nope.
Okay. All right, this is the Gomez and McGee pump station upgrades. You can see in this upper picture, this concrete pad and a retaining wall. And then in the lower one, I don't know if my cursor is showing up on your all screens, this concrete pad here as well. So these two pump stations have not had their own dedicated emergency generators. So when the power goes out in these areas, these pump stations, you can see in this background under this metal awning in the upper picture, those blue, those are, you can't see the actual pumps themselves, but anyone that went on the district tours with us, we took you to this site and those pumps are now out. We can't fill the tanks. We can't send the water where we need the water to go. So by having some emergency generators that are dedicated to these sites, they're going to sit on these concrete pads. As soon as the power goes off, these are going to have what's called an automatic transfer switch. So no one even has to go out there and turn it on. It automatically knows power just went off. I have to turn on, and those pumps will stay in line. We can't run them all at their full capacity, but we can keep water going, and that's way better than no water at all. These generators, if you went out there today, those generators are actually on site, and we're just waiting on some really long lead time electrical components to get them wired up. But they are out there right now, so it's really good.
Those puppies as big as those slabs?
Yeah, they are. It's really, it's funny that you asked that question. They're not, you got about 18 inches of walking room on the side, but yes, when I was, when this project first came onto my desk, I happened to be working from home that day. And so I'm doing some research, and my wife happened to walk by my computer, and I was on the phone and I'm talking to someone about a generator. And when I hung up, she said, well, what do you mean? You don't just go to like Home Depot or something like this? And I was like, no, these get delivered on a semi truck. And so I did some Google image, and sure, she couldn't believe the size of these generators. They are big, very, very big.
And the generators themselves were purchased with the grant money from Cal OES. So we have
Correct. Yeah.
30,000.
Oh, that's great.
So
Yep. Yeah, we got a $300,000 grant, and
pads and connect them, but
What are they rated at?
I forget what those are. They're big. Robert, do you know what size?
I might have, hey, let's see if I have that. I might have that.
Hundreds of kilowatts.
Yeah, got to be pretty big to run those pumps.
Let's see here. It does not tell me the kilowatt. If I had Ed Bradley on the call, he'd answer it right away.
Okay,
They're big. They're big puppies.
all right. Just curious.
Okay. Man, I have all my talking points and I of course don't have that one. You guys threw me a curveball.
I'll add it for next time.
Exactly. You get an A. All right, the Sumac Communications Tower and photovoltaic and backup battery system. This is a really cool project. This is the district's first design build project. We normally are not allowed to do design build. It's not allowed in the California Water Code. You could do it on reclaimed water, you could do it on sewer. But because this site is shared with North County Fire, Fire is allowed to do that. And so it's a co-located site, so we are able to do it. So we are actually nearing the end stages of the design phase. And then that same contractor will all come out and install the new facilities. It's going to have solar panels on it and some backup batteries. I think the specs called for those batteries to be able to power the site for, I believe it's 7 days. So in the event power goes out, we will still have power. This is a very critical site. You can actually see this from headquarters. If you kind of look to where the Beck Reservoir is, you'll see this antenna kind of like above the Paula Mesa Market. And again, when power goes out, this is critical not only for our operations, but for North County Fire Department's operations too. We lose radio communication abilities.
This where
and
the old tank is up there?
That old
There is that old wooden tank. Yep,
driveway up there.
it is. It
That
is
was
at
great
that
on the
location.
tour to see that.
Yeah. Yep. So this is going underway. It's going very well. We did not get a lot of responses for bidders that were interested in this. It's a pretty low dollar project. And it just didn't generate a lot of interest, but the company that got it is doing a really good job so far. So we're excited to see this one come to be. And I think, Robert, correct me if I'm wrong, I think SDG&E heard about this and they kind of now want to throw their hat in the ring as well, correct?
Yeah, SDG&E wants to mount their SCADA antennas on that taller antenna. And we're in talks with them right now to try and incorporate it all into the battery backup. But because they're getting to us late in the game when we've already got the 100% designs, they're still going to do what they're going to do, but it's not going to be tied to what we have.
Yeah.
So they'll get permission from North County Fire, who actually owns that large antenna array. They'll mount their stuff on there.
We're the property owner though out there, if
We're
I'm
the-
not mistaken. And
We are the property owner.
it's SDG&E. They don't ever seem to give us a break anytime we got it.
Nope. How about get out your checkbook?
Yeah.
So-
Well,
We'll talk about the
Yeah.
last street on that.
Yeah,
It's,
so-
Tom, it's funny that you say that because when Robert and I first started talking about this, I said, we actually need some help on our Hutton and Turner pump station projects with SDG&E. So like, if we're going to do them a favor, it's got to be quid pro quo here.
I was thinking RESBCT.
Oh, yeah. Good luck on that one.
Oh, I'm saying, hey, you know what? They could find a hole for the RESBCT program.
All they have to do is hit delete on that one placeholder. They just keep there as a placeholder.
Exactly. There's a path here, so don't give them squat until we extract whatever we can.
All right,
So
Robert, there you go. We have our
He's listening in. I said that. That was me.
marching orders, Robert.
So we had one meeting with them to let them know what we were doing. They let us know what they were doing. And then since then, we've shared some documents back and forth as far as what's
They
going
give us
on
the
up there. but-
RESBCT. We'll give them a really good lease rate.
There you go.
So yeah, any final decisions would have to come to the board anyways.
Just so you know, RESBCT program is the one that would allow us, if we were allowed in, to put solar up at back, quite a bit of it, and produce enough solar for all of our facilities. And then not get screwed over on the payback, that all the power we consume anywhere in the district could be offset by there. Right now, for a net metering, it has to be.
Instead of net
It
meter.
has to be
Well,
at
it
the
has to be
site.
at that site, on that lot.
Yeah.
which Obviously,
Yeah.
we don't have any place, but the program is limited in scope because, they don't want, there's a whole bunch of people who've put in applications that are sitting there dormant, but there's no more capacity for anyone else to get in. Like Chad said, if they just get rid of one of those that hasn't done anything for 6 years, slide us in.
Nice. Interesting. Be very nice.
Yep. All right. This is the Rice Canyon Tank Pipeline Project. Anyone that's ever hiked out there above the Horse Ranch Creek development or Citro and gone up to the Rice Tank, and I think it's the Montserrat Trail. You've seen the crews out there working. So this is an 18-inch transmission main that's coming from the Rice Tank, and it's going all the way down in. All the pipe has been laid. This upper right photo here, this is a vault, and you can see there's a pipe and there's missing a piece. there's a flow meter. It's called a Tiger Mag flow meter that's going to go in there. But anyone that does not believe that there is truly an issue with our supply chain, we ordered this meter more than a year ago and we're still waiting for it. And we don't pay for it until you get it. So it's not like people are making money by delaying this. We have since found a temporary meter that had the exact same ley length. So we have the meter in, it's sending the signal, it's doing what we need to do. And we're just waiting at the bottom of the hill. There's one more tie-in that has to be made, and TriPoint Homes actually holds the contract with the contractor, and then we repay TriPoint Homes after they pay the contractor. They're having some issues with a couple of their contractors right now, and so the contractors are holding this tie-in kind of as hostage right now. So we've been working with the folks at TriPoint Homes to help facilitate that so we can start flowing some water. In this lower right picture, that right there is a Tiger Mag meter. So that's what will ultimately go in this upper right spool as well. And then in this building, this CMU block building, everything from the Tiger Mag, there's this red box has a electronic display on it. And we actually can relay that same signal over to the building. The guys can see it on SCADA. So it's a very, very nice feature to have so that operations knows how much water is actually coming out of that tank in real time. It's pretty nice.
Well, Chad, for the record, it's a year and a half for my Bosch dishwasher. It's
Yeah. I mean, Robert and I deal with this all the time where people will tell us, oh, Bull, there's no more supply chain issue. And I'm like, we wait for stuff for and we call everybody and no one has anything. It's so yeah, I feel your pain. If you need an appliance right now, you almost have to just take what they have.
Yeah, I hear you.
But this project, we are nearly complete on this project. It said here, what was the percentage when we did this?
Just matches.
85% complete. We're now at about 95% complete on this project. So we're almost done. And it went really well. We were able to coordinate with TriPoint Homes on this. It was kind of weird not being in the driver's seat of one of our own CIP projects, but it actually worked out very well in the end. So it was a good partner throughout the process. Okay, we talked about the manual transfer switches at the beginning. So this is an actual panel. This is, I don't know the exact volts here, but it's very high. You're probably talking like 480 volts. And when our electricians have to go out, they actually have to throw the breaker and turn it off. That's this thing with the red handle right there. And even throwing it in the off position is dangerous. And then it's even more dangerous to turn it back on. And so they wear a specialized protective suit. They only stand there with only one hand doing it in case this were to arc. And so we want to get rid of those. We don't want any of our employees or any of our contractors to have to work that way. This was the way it was built. This was very generic and custom back in the day, but there's better technology now. So these are going to be manual transfer switches. So in the event of a power outage, operations wants to get an emergency generator out there, it'll be plug and play. They literally walk up, plug in, just like you are plugging in your trailer to the bed of your truck kind of a thing, and no more having to deal with this high electricity, high voltage situations. And so we're doing this at all areas that have it throughout the district. Not all areas are going to get its own emergency generator. That's like the very, very long-term plan. But at least when the power goes out and we bring a portable generator, it'll be a much safer operation.
How many?
I'm sorry?
How many are there altogether?
Oh, goodness. I could get with a med on that. I can get that back to you. I don't have that offhand.
I think there's about 7 or so
Oh, okay.
locations,
Right.
but some of them are the Hutton and Turner. I mean, the Huntley and McGee among them, but we got the over here tanks and then the sewer lift stations as well. Some of them have, the older ones have.
Right.
This project is actually focusing on the Morrow Hills pump station, the Rainbow Hills pump station, and the Vallecito's pump station. That was based on funding. So those are the ones that the operations and IT department said were kind of needed it the most and get used the most. And then we'll continue to do the rest of them.
Yeah, with
after
the increases of public safety power shutdowns with SDG&E, it used to power would go out once a blue moon, but now every summer they seem to be knocking everybody out. And so it's just a matter of time to where the guys have to have their big NFPA 70 arc flash suits on, and you got to have a specialist who has that gear and knows who's doing it. This way, operator can come over and get the thing, hook it up, throw the switch safely.
Okay.
Don't want to fry anybody.
No. This is the district's most visible project right now, the lift station 1 replacement project. This is going on right there at Thoroughbred and Highway 76, kind of over by the subway and the post office. We are currently making our way. We've already gone through the Arco gas station, Olive Hill. The next step will be crossing the bridge, excuse me, just on the east side of Highway 76 going towards the Boswell Elementary School. And then we'll be going down Old River Road. So we've been working on some messaging on that because, excuse me, because of the school hours, we're going to have late starts and early stops. And then because of some existing utility conflicts, there's just not enough room in the road. We are going to have to shut the road down. So we've been working with the county and we're going to be notifying all the affected residents. So that's underway. Project's going very well.
So Chad, that communications aspect of that, is it gonna be signs, door hangers? What's that gonna look like? I know
It'll be,
during
yep,
What's Up, we saw a lot of that signage and that communication. Are we gonna see that stuff as well?
it'll be road signs and especially with the detour, those will be, physical road signs that here's the detour, road is closed, follow this all the way around. And then we just met with the IT department earlier today, and we created the 1 mile radius of all affected residents to do the mass mailer. So it's a combination of both.
They've also had number of meetings with the school, which is an important one to coordinate. with
Correct.
the School there so that they can manage.
Okay.
It's a county traffic plan there. We could have done it at different times, even in the middle of the night, but they didn't want to have it done in the middle of the night. So they said 4 to 9.
4 to midnight, 4 p.m. to midnight.
So gonna be some inconvenience, but that's such a tight little spot there that there's no other way to get through.
Okay.
Okay, the tank maintenance and fall protection, this is district-wide. This is done by a third-party contractor, Viola. In fact, I just told Tom they just changed their name for like the 5th time in not that many years. But they handle all the district's tank maintenance. And right now they're standardizing. We're getting conduits going up. They're installing hand railing and fall protection at the top. Instead of going up a steep ladder that requires its own fall protection, the tanks are all getting stairs, and some tanks are even getting security gauges. You can see in this picture to the left, these concrete pads, those are where the landings of the stairs will go. So that this work goes on year in and year out. The contract just keeps on going, and they actually maintain these tanks. They do the washouts, the paintings, the coatings, everything.
How often do they cut the big hole and go inside to resurface?
It is inspected.
5
Robert,
years?
is it yearly or every other year?
The tanks are inspected every 3 to 5 years.
Every 3 to 5, and then it depends.
Well, in our
On that-
contract, they're inspected every other year internally and drained for inspection.
The
But
state
as far as
requires-
when you cut the big hole in it, that's when we find that the interior coating needs full rehabilitation.
You've already.
The
determined-
goal of this contract, and it gives them the incentive, is that when every 2 years, when they drain it and they go inside to do an inspection, if they find certain areas of delamination, and whatnot, they can do spot repairs and repair it like that
Huh.
and extend the period
Nice.
between when you have to do a full rehabilitation. Because the way it works is that the asset has an unending lifespan if you do this coating to it, that the zero depreciation. That's one of the things of
Yeah.
this. And so the beauty of this contract, it incentivizes the contractor to do the best coating job possible, because that decreases the frequency of them having to recoat it. Usually it's about 7 years or so, 8 years. Sometimes you get farther. If they can stretch that out by doing proper coating and then maintenance of the coating and stretch that out 12 years, they make money.
Yeah.
If they screw it up, and they don't, because the old tank maintenance, tank coating contracts, if it lasts past the 11-month inspection, they're off the hook, and it could
wow.
fail in year 2.
Yeah.
And we got no recourse. So that's the beauty of this, is that, yeah, we have, and it kind of sets a fixed cost in our budget, but it puts onus on them to do as good a job as possible. If they don't, they've got to come back and fix it, even if it fails at year 3 or 4 or 5. not just have to make 11 months. So that's
So the state of California requires all water districts and water departments to inspect and clean their tanks every 3 to 5 years. And you have to provide that data in the annual report. They want to know what years you did your inspections and your cleanings of your tank. So it's a good question. A lot of people ask that, but this contract's really good, like Tom was talking about, as far as the maintenance of the tanks. The other thing that it does for us is, let's say we have 2 or 3 tanks, the coatings go bad and they need a lot of work and it happens within a year or 2. Now you've got to come up with CIP money to deal with that expense that you didn't see was coming. So this way it prevents I don't know what the right term is, the unexpected expenses, right? It maintains them in a really good state. We have a really good working relationship with this company now, and coordinate when those tanks are going out of service. So they don't come to us and say, we're taking it out of service, deal with it. It's a really good coordination. And we tell them, sometimes we'll tell them, hey, we need to take it out of service just because there's not a lot of usage in our system. If you need to do work in there, instead of waiting 3 months, get in there now. So
Yeah, the other problem in the coatings market, when you go out to low bid, as we have in the past, and Chad must remember this from where we used to work, and I had the same problem 30 years ago in the city of Vernon, is that you put out a low bid painting contractor and they show up, they've got a license, but they come in and do crap work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you got to fight them the whole way through inspections. You got to have somebody watching them every single minute they're on there. And then one of them, Joe Colin, and with Joe
Yeah.
Colin was
How
Joe.
many different companies did he start?
They fold and then they open up as a
Change their
different
name.
business entity. And so you can't get it then. And then so you have this whack-a-mole you're playing with the coatings, and all they need to do is make 11-month inspection. And then if there's some little delamination, they can fix that and then cure the contract right then, and then they're off the hook. This puts these guys on the onus. We had one where they didn't do it right at a Liebenhain, where it ended up having some corrosion in the roof rafters. They replaced the whole roof at their cost. The problem we had the Valicitos tank where there was damage to that. They paid 70% of that cost because they were found to be partially at fault for the problem because of some of their work. And so they've been stand-up company to deal with. When the measure of these sorts of contracts is it's all great and good when things are going well, but when you know what hits the fan, do they step up? And in my experience, both here and where I've worked before, they always have.
Enterprise contracts are great. Their incentive is to be good.
To be
Yeah.
good. And if you're bad, you're going to lose money. If you do it really well, you'll make money. And I'm okay if they make money. We just don't want to be subject to the craziness of the tank coating industry.
Yep.
They also have
It-
tank coating guys that in the wintertime flood into California because they can't work back east. And so Roberts, I'm sure, got the phone calls. Hey, we're gonna have a crew out in your area the next month. You got any tanks need painting? You know, and
Exactly what you were saying about coating. I had the same problem at Oceanside. No, the inside interior had no rust spots. We took the tank out of service, did all the repairs, did whatever we had to do in that tank, and they coated it. And within 6 months, see all these big rust spots, and they told us, oh, that's normal. And we're like, no. And then the fight started with them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly how he described it is how that went down. And when I got over here and saw this, I'm like, it's worth it in the long run. We're doing everybody like 10, 20 years down the road a favor for doing this now.
Okay. Thank
All
you.
right. This is a good architectural rendering of what the Turner pump station will look like. It's going to be 2 buildings. The first one will actually have the pumps in it, and the second one at the site will have its own dedicated standby emergency generator. We'll install the new antenna for the SCADA communications. So we had an architect do the rendering because we're dealing with private property owners, and what's it going to look like? And so it's not exactly like this, but this is pretty close. The Hutton one will look very similar, except it'll only be 1 building instead of 2 because it's not getting its own generator. We're currently in design on this, I think.
this
is
one's
where-
over off near Sycamore, not Sycamore, Ranch, is that Sycamore Ranch that, no, it's where's Jack Beebe, the oval?
Via Mariposa.
Via
Yeah,
Mariposa.
Mariposa.
But there's a name of that development, right? I'm forgetting. It's off Camino del Rey, over near where the big winery is and that sort of stuff. Okay, thanks.
And we just put on all the operations calendars for, I believe, next week or the week after to go over the 90% drawings on these. So we've come a long way in design. We've been working on it for a long time, but we're getting that way. We've already placed the order for the pump stations, and we're working with the manufacturer there, going through the submittal process. So this is really nice to see this one starting to take shape. A lot of work. And then the last slide is the Weiss water treatment plant, permanent emergency interconnect and pump station. This is over there off of Silverleaf at the City of Oceanside's Weiss plant. There's been some back and forth on this project. We are at final design. It says project complete 20% because that's the overall project, but we have final design. We have a performance spec. So if the time comes and we want to construct this one, we're ready to go on that. And if not, you know, it's ready to go.
Yeah, this
Um,
one, we're having some issues with the water authority being, I guess I can't use that word in open session, cooperative in ways that is unproductive. Let's just put it that way.
So we did our jobs. We got it to the finish line, and sometimes I just have to put a red bow on things and wait for a little while. But that concludes the presentation. There isn't any other additional follow-up questions.
Any questions for Chad?
Fantastic.
Janine, anything?
No, I don't. Thank
All
you.
right. Chad, thank you so much. That was very helpful. Can we get a copy of these slides?
Absolutely. I'll make sure that I get a copy over to Dawn and she can email it out.
Great, thank you.
All right. Thank you all. I'm going to go.
Given that slideshow now.
This is the fourth.
Okay.
You're getting good at it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go drink some water now. I'm out of water.
There you go. Thank you. Have a
All
great.
right. Thank you all. Have a great evening.
All right, that concludes 11.
12, we're skipping.
Moving on to 13, detachment update.
All right, I'll make this one fairly brief. It's taken forever, but LAFCO has set a date. Of course, LAFCO has set dates before for this, so
I'm
take it with a
excited.
grain of salt. But we are being told that by the 17th of this month, they're going to have a draft report out, and that there's going to be a special district advisory committee and cities advisory committee meetings where it's going to be discussed and give feedback to the LAFCO staff on what people think of whatever they've come up with here. And whatever they come up with, we're not sure what that, does it mean an exit fee is included? Is there no exit fee? Is the exit fee $1.2 billion or is it 89 cents? We don't know. The feedback they get from that, they're going to take back and prepare their final report, which they will release sometime in April for a 45-day review period for the commission meeting on the first Monday of June. They want to have at least 2 and maybe 3 commission meetings to review it for some reason. But they're dark in July. And so but now they're saying August would be the earliest. I said, look, if it's going to be 3, then hold a special meeting, please. You know, I mean, what is this whole dark in July? Well, people are on vacation. I was like, come on. This is not
Like
Spain.
France.
Yeah, that's right. This is not Europe. You know, come on. It's very frustrating. You know, I had planned to be retired in August, but that isn't going to happen now. But but that's a date, and it's there. We don't know what the proposal is going to be. My presumption is that they're going to say that detachment is fine, but they're going to have some conditions. What those conditions are, we don't know. I think if they were going to say no, you can't detach, it would be legally dubious, but that wouldn't take them 3 years to figure that out, right? One would hope. So we'll see. I wish I could tell you that schedule is going to hold, because I think I've told this committee and many others a series of schedules over the years, because I had a PowerPoint slide that said from LAFCO saying commission will hear this December 2021. And it's like,
Do you need to have Chad managing this for you? Just to stress.
if we could, if only we could. So that's kind of where that's at. And so we'll see. So by next month, I will know. Of course, once a proposal comes out, if one does, we'll make sure to circulate it amongst everybody who's interested in poring over that stuff. But
Okay.
But we're just kind of waiting to see what happens.
Draft report, 17th of March.
Yeah, and I have one other thing to say, and I apologize, everybody, but my wife has been pinging me. I have to go home. There were some things I was supposed to do yesterday that I didn't do because I was in the hospital,
Mhm.
that she says are urgent, that I need to come home, that I need to be home by 4 o'clock, and I am late. So I
Thank you.
apologize, but I was looking through the rest of this, and between Carlene and Tracy and Robert, and they've got these other ones well in hand.
We've got.
Okay,
So I apologize.
see you later.
The big boss calling and,
Yep,
you know,
important.
I get it.
Take care of business. All right, thank you. Any other comments on detachment? Moving on to item 14, the headquarters location becoming a field trip destination for local schools update.
So I have this one. I spoke with the teacher at Bonsall High School yesterday. She actually called the office wondering who to talk to because she didn't realize that Cynthia had retired.
Sure.
So she was connected with me, and we're going to do visits the week of March 20th. So either the 20th, we don't have the exact date, but it'll be sometime that week. About 10 to 15 high school students will come for about 2 hours, and it'll be a series of presentations from different departments. So engineering is going to set up some stakes in the lower yard, show them how to interpret information, use the PEEP site to show how they ensure the pipe is in grade and alignment. They're going to set up some plans in the boardroom, show them how to use a scale and ruler to confirm the facilities locations. Operations departments are going to do short little 5 to 10 minute demos for meters, construction, system operations, and wastewater. And then IT will do a live demonstration of some of the SCADA and IT systems. And then we'll probably have some short presentations about some of the more administrative office functions as well. So these are students that are focused on STEM careers.
Mhm.
And so they want them to understand all the different ways, all the different skill sets that can be, related to that and kind of the real world application. So,
Great.
yeah. And we plan to do kind of a run through before they come to, not just rehearse everything, but we're going to invite our new hires that have been hired in the past couple of years that haven't gotten to do the take your kids to work day before, because that's it's a great educational opportunity. So it'll be a good kind of onboarding experience for
And what day
those.
is that?
We don't have that calendared yet, but that'll be, because it'll be contingent on when we're doing the day with the students.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, when you firm up that date, if you can let the committee know if it's appropriate that if we can't, like, I'm going to be on vacation on the 20th. I'll be out of town.
Probably be the same week,
Okay.
because it'll probably be a day or two before.
All right. Okay.
I apologize. I don't recall if Tom mentioned that the new public relations position was going to fall under Carlene,
Okay.
because she has a very specific skill set with public relations, trademarking, things like that. So
Okay.
I felt like that was a better fit. You can
Great.
see she's doing a great job already.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. We got a date. They're coming. Good. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Anything else on that? Item 14?
No, Tom mentioned that he spoke with the superintendent again this morning, and that he was going to get him in touch with me. I don't know if this was the vision, because I wasn't involved in the previous conversations. I don't know if there's more than one event kind of in the works, but this is what we have calendared right now.
Yeah, I think our overarching goal to this idea was to kind of hammer out, a repeatable program that where depending on the class or the students or whatever, that we would have the ability to kind of execute on what you just described, which this is great. This is the first time it's going to happen. So I think that's great. I mean, there's so much we can share with the local students.
And yeah, the water careers are great careers that a lot of students at that age have never heard of. It's not on their radar.
Sure.
They're not aware of it. And, maybe in 2 or 3 years, I'll be hiring some of them.
There you go. Other thoughts or questions on 14?
That's great. Like that.
Okay. Moving on, item 15, online bill pay and rates of adoption.
So that's this handout here.
Yep.
With the yellow highlight. So last month you guys had asked me how many of our customers were on online bill pay.
Mhm.
And I guessed. And I guessed at 60%. It's actually 69%. If you also include in their bill concentration, that's where it's initiated at the customer's bank. It's we're at about 86% for online payments, which is really great, because you can see here in 2020, in the same month in January, we were significantly lower than that. So we've really increased the amount of people that are doing either bill pay or automatic payments. So we've got about 8% that just, mail a check into Lockbox. We're always going to have, a certain amount of people that just want to write a check. And then 5% coming in the office. So those have really improved in the last.
So
few
bill
years.
concentration, that's, I'm initiating a bill pay on my financial institutions portal to say pay Rainbow. Or
Yes.
you put in the number, what that's
Yeah.
what that means.
Yeah.
But the 69% is set whenever I get my water bill, it's gonna automatically pay on it.
Right, they've gone into our InfoSend
That's a great
outward
percentage.
facing portal and signed up for that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
compared to
really
what it
cool.
was, even before 2020, it was significantly lower. And we had, I think, 12 different ways that you could pay your payment, which was a lot to manage.
Mhm.
So, we've really whittled it down to these 5. The Union Bank fax one may be going away because US Bank just bought Union Bank. So we're in a transition
really?
process there.
Well, I think there's such good news to that, or the benefit of that is that, when your bill's low, it's gonna auto pay and you're just gonna get a note
Yeah.
that said you paid your bill and you're like, oh yeah, that wasn't so bad. When it's high, it's gonna automatically pay your bill and you don't have to go in and type the numbers. So it reduces a little bit. of
Yeah, and
stress
it's-
on that if you've been using a lot
It,
of water,
it helps
right?
staff
Oh.
too. There's a lot less payment options to manage and make
Uh-huh.
sure they get posted and are all
Okay.
functioning correctly. And
I think that, with normal residential customers, not big lot people, but normal residential customers, because of the way the state now forces us to rate, so much of it's fixed charges.
Mhm.
That, the difference between a big month and a small month for me is $10. I mean, because I
Not
have
for me.
I have a small home. I know. Well, I wasn't talking about you.
But I know what you mean.
Or Hayden. I'm not talking about Hayden either. No, I'm not talking about those, but the vast majority of our customers are, just residential customers still. And so for them, it's kind of a no-brainer to go on this because you're not really talking about a big fluctuation of money. It's, $20
Yeah.
a month.
Yeah.
And,
It's your utility, you gotta pay it.
yeah, and they're fixed costs.
Well, I think that's a great penetration number. I mean, to get to 69%
Yeah.
is wonderful.
It's a lot of not handling checks, not handling.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just amazing how much savings there is in terms of time to process.
So how can we get to 75%?
I think it's going to happen somewhat naturally with the changing demographic
Okay.
of our population, but we keep pushing it every time. We want everybody on auto pay.
Okay. All right. Other comments,
No, it's good. number.
questions?
Like it.
Okay, thank you. 16, communications annual calendar and newsletter enhancements.
I'm going to take this one. I don't have a complete annual calendar for all of the communications events. I haven't quite gotten as far as digging into all the stuff that Cynthia had in her files and things like that.
Mhm.
But we do need to determine what we're going to put in the March newsletter. So there's a handout that says newsletter content calendar ideas.
Mhm.
So I just listed some ideas. Some of the ones that Cynthia had previously submitted to the committee are on here as recurring or as needed, or the specific states that she had listed. And then there's some ideas I'm throwing out there for feedback and input. And then I left the months blank so that if the committee would like us to include an article on kind of our calendar, I can plan in advance on what month we should be planning on publishing that article.
Okay. Anything that you want to highlight here?
Well, I was hoping that we could just kind of go down article theme or title one at a time, and the committee could say yes or no, and what month we might like to do that. At a minimum, I'd like to choose some articles for March, so we can get that out.
All right. And Fix a Leak Week was already scheduled for March.
Yeah, that was already on, I believe, what Cynthia
Mhm.
had presented.
Okay, but that's, you're saying that that's going to be included?
If the committee thinks that's a good idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I do.
Okay.
And how much room do you have on the March newsletter?
Usually 2 to 3 articles.
So, or we got 2 more, or?
Yeah, if the committee wants to choose a couple from the proposed list, or offer up
Okay.
a new idea. you want me to read them out or just,
Is everybody, Janine, you had this, right?
I don't think I got this one to.
oh, you didn't email that out?
No, I
Okay, I'll
didn't.
read it
No,
for people
please
who are
do.
remote. So first one is understanding your water bill, how rates are determined. The next is water conservation tips for Southern California residents. Then benefits of using drought tolerant landscaping. The importance of flushing your pipes regularly. Overview of district budget and expenses. Benefits of using water saving appliances and fixtures. How to detect and fix leaks in your plumbing system. Importance of water conservation during a drought. Water conservation tips for agricultural customers. Saving water indoors, tips and tricks for reducing usage. How to read and understand your water meter, and the importance of replacing old inefficient water fixtures and appliances. We could also, I don't know what we've already done in the past about some of the CIP projects that are happening in the district, but we can also add, an update about any CIP projects that customers might be noticing happening in their neighborhoods.
I think the fix a leak week would go well with how to read and understand your water meter. And also bring in something maybe on Flume, because those, if you're fixing a leak, you really should understand how to fix how to read your water meter. And so that could be a
Mhm.
good trio.
Okay.
So we're gonna, how to read and understand your water meter, and what was the other?
The fix a leak week is,
Yeah,
Already
right,
in
and
our-
Flume is already in
then-
there, right? Okay,
and then add Flume to that.
Okay.
Those three might, just a suggestion, those three might go well together.
uh-huh. But are those already are those part of our three or?
Yeah, those would be the three, but
Oh, okay.
just a suggestion.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, I think stressing the Flume program is definitely good.
Okay.
Okay,
Could we also plan for April now so that we can be working on that ahead of time before our next committee meeting?
okay. Well, I'd probably go with the drought tolerant landscaping. People start getting out there and busy in the dirt in April, right?
And then also we may have some messaging on the wastewater rates in that one.
Okay,
That's gonna be a really important messaging. We haven't raised our rates in 5 years for wastewater,
mhm,
and we're gonna be bringing them up basically more in line with some of the neighboring districts. So we have quite a big graphic we want to put in there to show that.
Cynthia had on her calendar for April a free site audit. I'm not sure what that is referring to.
yeah, I think it's the what's the watershed, what's the group called that will come out and I want to say mission, but that's not it.
MWD?
Might be Mission Conservation District.
Mission Conservation District will provide free, you can call them up and they'll come out and they'll inspect your system and look at your flow rates and look at your irrigation and stuff like that and make recommendations. So I think that would be a good one for that.
Okay.
I agree. That's a great time of the year to check out your irrigation system, make sure you don't have anything that's happened to it since you've had it off for 3 months and this winter, everybody's had them off for a long time. So it's going to be particularly problematic because things happen to it when it's not working. So that's a great time to do it.
We also have a suggestion from one of our listeners. Claudia suggested that we feature the March event with the high school students touring.
Oh, great.
Or we could also post on that after
We
we do
can't-
it
Yeah, we can
with some pictures.
we can take pictures, not of the students, but of our employees demoing it. We could talk about the visit and.
We
Okay,
take a picture of the back of their heads.
Well, that's a great
yeah,
idea.
so,
Okay, so that's our three
All right.
for April.
Are
awesome.
you going to include flushing pipes with that a program with the agency to evaluate your irrigation system? It's an easy one. Basically, you're talking about your water heater mostly
Mhm,
on flushing your pipes.
okay,
People don't know that they need to drop that water heater about once a year to clean out stuff that it gathers in the bottom of it. They really don't know. And then all of a sudden, I'm 5 years in and I've got a new water heater I gotta buy because the bottom end has gone out. And so that's a good one to include when you're doing that kind of.
All right, so let's see if we can fit that in, and we've got the others.
Yeah.
And then I think if we, if the committee can, and we'll get a copy to Janine, if the committee can make any other suggestions and scribbles for the next meeting, we can bring this back and project out a couple.
And then we'll do maybe like May and June at the
Sure.
next meeting.
Sure.
Okay, sounds good.
Excellent. Anything else on 16?
That's all I had for 16.
Okay, 17, customer communication options.
Okay, this is a carryover from last month. I do have a handout on it. It's emailed out to you. You guys had asked how, last month, what types of communication we have with our customers.
Yeah.
And as a follow-up to that, there was a question on how many or number of customers we had.
Right.
And how many of those we had email, phone number, for. So for email, we have 75% of the 9,631 customers.
Mhm.
For phone, we have 62%. So we do have a really active effort when customers come in or call to get that information, make sure it's up to date. And it's also something we periodically put on the website and in newsletters, reminding people the importance of us having a up-to-date phone number in case we have a shut off or an emergency. So that's something we're really pushing.
And you want a cell number, don't you?
Yeah, we would prefer a cell number because it's
Absolutely.
only when people answer.
If you ever get to the point where you can do a text blast, which is really a convenient way to communicate quickly. It's great to have if you had a cell number for everybody in the district. Fire happens, we could immediately warn the community that there's a major fire brewing in this area or whatever. Now I realize there's such a thing as reverse 911 and the fire department certainly uses that sometimes, but getting a text is even better in some regards.
Is there any way to, for those members, the 25% that we don't have an email on file to have our, the bill, our mail house provide an insert to those identified 25% to say, hey, just wanted to let you know we don't have an email on file with you. You get a lot of great information this
We
way.
could definitely try that. One thing I will say is the ones that we do have an email on file for, that not all of them even check their emails that we sent them.
Mhm.
I just talked to someone today who said that he never looks at our emails. So
Sure.
we can get that. Our push has been to get the phone numbers for the
Okay.
shut off calls and that.
I think that'd be great.
I think,
Better,
yeah.
it's a better tool.
Well, I guess I'm just trying, because
Yeah.
if we don't have an email from them, we can never communicate with email. And yes, I get that people
yeah.
don't always look at those emails. But I
Yeah,
just didn't know if there was a
absolutely.
way to target just those people and not have to mail something out or put something in the newsletter that says, hey, I
Yes.
know that's probably on the back of the newsletter, right?
Yes,
But
yes, there is.
it's just an idea to how to get close.
I have an idea if I could.
Sure.
I know it's on certain entities, oftentimes there's a link that you can click on that says sign up for, like you were talking about, text alerts.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you want to do something like that even on the website, because I'm looking at the front page of it right now. If you want to incorporate something on that and see if you can capture some new people who want to either sign up for text alerts or provide the email for other alerts as well. I don't know how difficult that would be to create.
Okay, all good ideas.
Okay.
Okay. We'll see
Is
what
there
we
anything
can.
we can tempt them with? You
Mhm.
know how you got to put an email address into, I mean, I know you got to hide my email and all that stuff that if you're an Apple user, I know it always is asking me, do you really want to give your real email address out? Not
To
that
me,
it's not already out there.
it's tempting to just want to have the knowledge that your water's going to be shut off or that there's some sort of emergency in your area. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't understand why you wouldn't want that information, but
No,
some
I
people-
agree with you.
If you couch it and like you have the graphics that really kind of stands out for, receive emergency alerts. It's,
Yeah, like maybe someone.
and then
trying
have a place where they can
to
just put the
water.
information in right there.
I think part of this is we just really need to keep pushing both of them. I think it's a constant.
Mhm.
So
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that information. Any other comments, questions on 17? All right, 18, preparation for avocado festival.
Okay, so there's also a handout for this. So we're ordering the promotional products. Claudia has helped me do the research on some of these promotional products. Our inventory is very low from what Cynthia had ordered a couple of years ago. So there's some suggested items here. I'd like the committee's input. We do need to narrow this list down to keep it within the budget that we're planning for, but the first page has some avocado themed items since it's the avocado festival. So I'm suggesting that we choose 2 out of these 3 products to have as promotional products at the avocado festival. And then we'll go on to page 2. But the first one is the all-in-one avocado tool that has pit remover that's metal, and the slicer with the serrated blade. So it's a nice little convenient tool. And then the other 2 options are hot cold packs that have that you can either freeze or heat up,
Mhm.
and then the stress balls.
I'm going with 1 and 3.
My vote would be,
Go ahead.
my vote's 1 and 2.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I love
Does
Does that mean
One
Bill's
is
the
great.
tiebreaker?
I'm not sure about 2 and 3.
Well, 3, let me tell you, stress balls, everybody likes stress balls, and that's what a cute thing to have a stress ball with. So I really like 3.
So we normally, in previous years, we have had a different product with the hot cold packs with the gel beads, and they are popular, giveaways. They're small. So people
Oh,
can just
yeah.
throw them in a little bag or something like that. So
Can we go 2
this,
and 3, is that a compromise for the committee? Ginny.
I
What
think
was the
everybody liked
compromise?
number
I'm
1.
sorry.
You like number one?
Oh,
No, I
no.
said 1 and
like number
1 and
one.
2, but you want 1 and
I'll
3,
take,
is that
I'll
what you're
take
saying?
one and number 1 right now.
I'm gonna just say
All right, 1 and 2, moving on.
1 and 2 because I have so many stress balls from people.
I love
things.
those. That's a cute stress ball.
But it might be because people think I seem stressed out. So
Uh-huh.
I'd be revealing too
Did they
much about
did they
myself.
send you a sample of the?
They did not, because we didn't find these far enough in advance
Okay.
in order to
All
be
right.
able to get
1 and 2.
samples. Okay,
But
so
next year, stress balls.
Okay.
the second page of this handout has some other options. And the top 2 items, we could do both of these if we choose less expensive water bottles. So I wanted to have a discussion and get input on whether you want to continue with the really nice water bottles that we've been giving out. They're popular, they go quickly, but they are expensive. Or if we order a slightly less expensive water bottle, then we could get both of the promotional products at the top rather than just one or the other.
Which is the bottle we've been giving out? Is it the 1226 or the 447?
It's the 12.6. It's the vacuum insulated bottle. We have about 10 left. It's stainless steel. It's very nice. People are always impressed when they walk by and see it.
How much turnover do we usually have at the displays?
We almost
Do we know
always
how much?
give away everything we bring.
Okay.
Thoughts, Bill?
That's a lot. Vacuum insulated bottles are expensive. Those who've worked there before, you think that's an item we should continue to do?
I think we should definitely continue to do a water bottle because we're a water district.
Mhm.
I definitely, and we want to encourage people to use the reusable water bottles and refill it with our water. But whether we want to, spend that much on a really nice one, it is impressive when people walk by. And we do try to control the amount that we give out of the more expensive items. We have a spin to win. And so we try to encourage them to take some kind of action, follow us on social media
Not just
or
everybody that walks in.
something in order, right? So we can put the water bottles on there one time and the less expensive items we put on there 10 times. So the chances of them winning the more expensive item is slightly less. But
Right.
just wanted input on what you thought we should do.
Janine?
Yeah, I mean, as long as you kind of limit it, I guess my concern is not having interacted or been to the festival before. Did you want, as long as if there's some way to engage the people more than they just come by and go, okay, great, they just kind of
Yeah, they don't
take
get,
the items that are on display,
Yeah, we've
and
had
then you
times
don't
where there
really
was
get a
like a
chance to.
line of kids that see it that want to spin because they see this. And Chris just ordered a new spinning tool because the old ones we had just kept breaking. So Claudia and I were at a Waterwise Pro Expo in November, and there was another agency that had a really, really nice one on a tripod. And so we ordered one of those, and we can actually print out pictures of the promotional items that they can win and put it on it. It's really cool.
well, I mean, my input would be, it comes down to being able to give away 200 or 300 at the water festival. And where the insulated one looks pretty cool. There would be an extra 100 people getting a water bottle from the water district if we go with the
If we
cheaper one, right?
Right. And we could also have a wider variety of things to give out. We could do the Stay Cool spray bottle and the Twist and Chill fan instead of just one or the other.
Okay.
I like that.
And do they have a logo on it of the company, or is it anything related to Rainbow?
No, these are all products that we order with our logo on them.
Okay, so they're customized.
Correct.
Well, I,
Okay, yeah, I think
go ahead.
I'll go with Bill on this one.
Yeah. I think I'd go with the less expensive water bottle and add the spritzer or something, something like that.
Okay.
Cause it got hot, didn't it
The
get hot?
Twist and
last-
Chill fans
hot.
are really
Yeah,
cool.
the
Everybody's
afternoon.
always impressed. And those are things that we also give out to employees sometimes too, because they could twist it up, put it in their pocket, and if it's hot, they're out in the field and they're on their break or something, they can use that. So yeah, I think that's a great plan.
All right.
Okay.
Excited.
And then next month, we'll talk more about like scheduling, if any volunteers want to help staff the booth at the festival and things like that.
What's
Okay.
that date again?
Good.
What's the date of the
April
festival?
23rd.
April 23rd. It's the week after our employee banquet.
Nice. Okay, it won't be 50 degrees. That'll be good. Any other thoughts, comments on 18? Moving to 19, committee membership and reappointments.
Bill,
That's-
you are up for reappointment. Your year
Okay.
has come to
Okay.
an end, so you're up for, I'm sorry, Bill Shoup, sorry.
Yeah.
You're up for
Yeah,
reappointment
Okay,
time, and this is also an opportunity if Frank would like to express an interest in joining the committee, this would be that opportunity as well.
okay. So when my reappointment, how does that work? I don't understand how that works. Do I just? say I
Basically, we
wanna
just
stay?
take, basically the committee would just vote for the board to reappoint you.
Oh,
It's
okay,
been 4 years.
gotcha.
so would it
Oh.
come up at this meeting in the meeting in April or March?
This would come up to the board at the March board meeting. So if
Okay.
there's a recommendation for the board to reappoint you, if you're interested in being reappointed, that is. It would
My
be for
house.
another, it'd be for another.
It's been 4
it'd
years.
Be for another 4 years.
Holy
correct.
moly.
Oh.
Okay, so I guess it would be, is there a motion?
I would move that we recommend to the board to reappoint Bill.
Second?
I second it.
Okay. Do we need a roll call on that?
We do. Member Shute,
Aye.
member Malakovich,
Aye.
and member Stewart.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, and then I think Frank and I had a conversation prior to the meeting. He would like to observe for a couple more meetings. And we'll go from there. Hopefully he'll decide in everyone's best interest.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else on 19? Okay, appointment item 20, appointment of committee chairperson and vice chairperson.
Could we delay that until we get Bill reappointed to the committee? Or is this an appropriate time to do it anyway?
I don't think the board's gonna tell you no, but.
No, of course not.
We can defer this if you'd like to, or we can do this now. Either way.
If Bill doesn't mind serving, through this until April, then that would be a great time to.
We can defer till April if you'd like.
Okay.
Okay.
And we'll know probably Cynthia's decision of whether she wants to.
Yeah.
By then.
It's on an indefinite hold. I'm not sure what.
Okay, got it. Okay, well, we'll
Sounds like
do
it
it in
depends
April.
on how long she's there.
Okay, I'll hold the hot seat for another month. Here we go.
Okay.
Anything else on 20? 21. The district's 70th anniversary branding logo presentation.
So I've got this one and there's a short presentation. So December 31st, 1953, the now it's gonna work. Okay. The Secretary of State acknowledged the formation of our water district. So our 70th anniversary is going to be this year. It's an opportunity to highlight our evolution over the past 7 decades, as well as our plans for the future. These are some ideas to consider in terms of planning the anniversary celebration. I actually spoke with the public information officer at FPUD because they had their 100th anniversary last year. So it's very fresh and she sent me a lot of resources. Some of these came from her list and some were things that Tom and I had already talked about. So the first one was having a refresh of our logo and creating a special logo for the 70th anniversary and having an employee contest, which is actually what FPUD did for their 100th anniversary logo as well, in order to design that. Tom and I also talked about a possible brand refresh with a permanent logo change. We've had our logo for a long time, and I'm going to talk in a few more minutes about some logo considerations and things that are ideal to have in a logo that our current logo doesn't necessarily meet all of those best practices. It's also an opportunity to kind of refresh and look towards the future, with what our logo is. A social media campaign, a press release. FPUD took out a full page ad in the Village News to celebrate, to announce their community event. We could also do a special anniversary coin since we have our challenge coin program, and kind of use that to hand out to people in the community and have a special coin for that. A community event. FPUD did a very large festival style community event on their grounds. It was an opportunity for them to showcase some of the things that they do. They had demonstrations with their heavy equipment that the kids could watch and things like that. We could do educational workshops about conservation or anything that we think our community would be interested in learning about. We could do a staff and ratepayer volunteer community service project. And the board actually threw out the idea of a total name change at the board meeting this week, which kind of caught us by surprise. But it is an opportunity to kind of hit the reset button and move forward with the new vision for the future. So that's something that obviously was going to require a lot more discussion to decide whether or not that's something that we ought to consider. But that idea came from the board. So
There you go. You're not owning that.
so we're gonna present them with options and get
Okay.
lots of feedback from stakeholders and go from there.
All right.
So these are some things to consider when we're talking about a logo. One, it should be simple and recognizable. I think our current logo definitely meets that. It should be versatile. So it would work on different sizes and formats, like decals, embroidery. Our current logo does have some challenges in this area. We've had trouble with when we've tried to have it embroidered, and we've had to change the format. It doesn't fit nicely into social media icons, which are almost always square these days. So if you'll notice, a lot of other agencies are moving towards like a stacked or a round or square logo that fits on those kinds of places. It should be scalable, so it's easy to read when it's printed on smaller items like business cards. Because we have 3 words, the municipal water district under the rainbow right now, sometimes those 3 words get really hard to read when you have it printed a little bit smaller. So that's another consideration. The best practice is to have 2 to 3 colors in a logo that kind of represent the brand's personality and values. So we're currently monochromatic, which I find somewhat ironic since we're rainbow. But that's an opportunity to refresh as well. Readability, the fonts should be easy to read. I think ours are pretty easy to read, with the exception of if it's very small, then those 3 words get a little harder to read. It should be unique with and avoid generic symbols. There's a typo there. Generic symbols or clip art that can be easily confused with other water agencies or someone that is just borrowed from the internet. And of course, it should be timeless, designed to last for many, many years into the future.
70.
Well, this one wasn't around for 70. I think 20 or so years ago.
No, it was not.
Great idea.
More than 20 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's definitely been a while since we've done a brand refresh, and so I think this could be a good opportunity to do that, especially because there's a possibility that could coincide with some detachment decisions. So a nice vision to the future.
So this would all be,
Start.
2023 activity.
We would probably do this in order to kind of have like a multi-month long publicity campaign. We're working up to this. We would probably, if we just did the employee logo design contest, start that right away so we can start planning some of these other things and start using it in promotional materials and social media posts. That would give us time to have that take place over a couple of months, because we need time to present the idea for the contest to employees, get their input, actually execute the designs, because we don't expect them all to be graphic designers. We are looking for ideas, and then they can come to us with ideas, and then we can use our graphic design tools to actually create the image that they're envisioning. And then of course, bring some logo concepts to the committee and to the board, make a final selection, make sure that it can be embroidered and printed on different things, and that it'll work for a variety of purposes.
But the goal would be that we would launch whatever is in that subset or whatever subset of those ideas that would happen and coincide with the anniversary in December of this year.
I think we would probably start promoting it and launch it even before then, so that we're building up anticipation for an anniversary event.
So for the finance department, is this budgeted?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about the cost of the various options pretty soon here. So considerations if we actually changed our name. Some advantages would be it would disassociate us from some previous issues. I know board members will probably experience it when they're at conferences. Sometimes the only thing anyone's ever heard about Rainbow is, oh, weren't you guys going to be taken over by FPUD? and other.
Where is Rainbow?
Or yeah, where is that? So it's a way to separate the past from the future. It's an opportunity to refresh our image and realign with our goals and future. It also could be more representative of all the communities we serve. Rainbow is a very specific community in one of our 5 divisions, but we have lots of communities. We have the community of Bonsall, we have areas of Fallbrook. So there's lots of communities we serve other than just that small Rainbow community. And we could make it more consistent with other local agencies. So the staff suggestion for consideration would be North County Municipal Water District. We're 82 square miles that almost entirely overlap with the 125 square miles that North County Fire Protection District covers. We're both serving the same communities, providing different services. So that would be staff's recommendation. Of course, other names could be proposed and considered as well.
I have a question. Are we legally required to put municipal in the name?
I don't think so. I don't think we are. So if we
Okay,
wanted to
does
just
it
say,
benefit it at all? Seems really long.
Seems like North
yeah.
County Water District.
it's
would-
really common, but yeah, we could just go with North County Water District.
Maybe if we did like a shield and then a pirate's head in the middle of that shield.
What are you talking about?
Don't let the engineers do any design.
I don't-
Stay away from marketing. I'm kidding.
Do you know of any
I got a
public water
picture.
districts that don't call
Stop.
themselves municipal?
A good example. right?
There are a few, but most do use that name and most
Yeah, they
kind of
do.
shorten it to MWD. So you'll hear them just refer to
Yeah.
MWD or their name. Currently, there's already another RMWD in the county. That's Ramona Water District, Ramona Municipal Water District. So we have the same initials as another agency. This would make us more unique.
Okay.
So some disadvantages is it could confuse customers. It could particularly be confusing with the timing in conjunction with the 70th anniversary.
Yep.
Because they'd be like, wait, 70 years, but you're brand new. This is a new name. So that would be some challenging messaging. It's also a lot more expensive, 75 to 100,000 is a rough estimate. And there could be some resistance to change from stakeholders, why fix what isn't broken and that kind of attitude from some stakeholders. So that's just kind of an initial thought process there. So these are the likely budget impacts, and most of this would happen in the next budget year, not the current budget cycle, because December is in our next fiscal year. If we were to just do some of these 70th anniversary celebrations with no primary logo change, it would probably be about 15,000. I asked the PIO at FPUD what they spent, and they kept theirs under that budget, and that was including the big festival
Okay.
that they did for the community. A new logo in conjunction with the anniversary celebration could be anywhere from 35 to 65, but we can phase this in stages without a name change. So it doesn't all have to necessarily hit the same fiscal year. And some of these expenses we would incur anyway. For example, we buy employees new logo apparel, on regular timeframes. And so we could just wait until the next time we would have been reordering anyway and do that. So, and then if we had a new name as well as the new logo, I updated this slide after the other one. It would be about 80 to 140,000 ballpark, because there are a lot more items that would need to be updated. A lot of our technology systems in particular would be something that Ahmed would have to work and update. That he said that would be probably about a $25,000 difference. There might be some legal fees involved, and we would have to do it all at once because we have a name change. So we couldn't, phase it in as gracefully as we could without a name change. So
Sure. Lots of signage, lots of other stuff.
So those are the ideas. Right now, we're throwing them out there to get general impressions and feedback. And then obviously this is something that we're gonna talk about for more over several months.
Okay. Well, I mean, go ahead, Bill.
A lot of food for thought,
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
several decisions to make it along these lines. When would you like to see this come to the board for the
Well,
preliminary
I'll tell you,
discussion?
they really surprised us this week by throwing out the idea of a potential name change, because what we had envisioned was coming with the idea of the employee logo contest, and we thought we would be launching that next week.
Isn't
But if we're
there-
going to change our name, then that would be premature to do.
Yeah, isn't there something called the North County Water District that's kind of a paper agency that's just to the. There's a paper agency between us and Bella Reservation.
Oh, that's the San Luis Ray.
Yes.
Oh, is
That's
that a
what-
San Luis Ray?
We were
Ray.
going to take their name, but there's been some political connections that we no longer want that.
Oh, okay. I, see.
Or-
I know that was discussed, but
Yeah.
that started the juices flowing, I know, a year or two
A
ago.
few years.
Yeah,
ago,
that would have
The
been a
board
really good
started
name.
talking about that.
The North County Joint.
JPIA.
JPIA,
Joint.
the North County JPIA.
Is that still in existence?
Well,
I'm not sure that was.
So this is
and our fire
part of
protection
what
district
the expense would be for legal to do some research on whether or not what we envision is
is-
an actual option. my inclination would actually be to wait to defer any decision on whether to do a name change until after a decision is made on detachment. And there's a new general manager and we're kind of doing the full revamp of our strategic plan and have that be part of that process. That would be my recommendation.
Agreed.
Wait. Yeah.
Well, I think my thoughts here are around that the logo really needs to be updated, right? So everything you had on slide 1, but if you're going to change the name,
It should be
can't-
done all
you-
at once.
You can't do the logo now, right?
Yeah.
So I think those two things those decisions are tied together. But I think the other ideas that you had as far as community involvement and all those other types of things, celebrating the 70th anniversary, I think are great ideas. So, I mean, I would definitely support all that.
I mean,
activity
we
because-
could refresh the logo and then, defer the decision on the name change until after we have finality on whether detachment is going to happen and that process happens. It would, we would be spending some of that money twice because we'd have a logo refresh and then a name change later. But then we would still be taking advantage of the opportunity that our 70th anniversary gives us to do that refresh. And then, the board and all the stakeholders can make that other decision.
And we
on a
may
name change
decide
later.
not to change our name. Our reputation is improving.
It is.
Done a lot of great things. We may not want to lose that.
That could be even more true after detachment.
Do we know what the specific, I know you had some broad
Mhm.
budget categories out there, but just trucks and sign, I mean, all that kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
I have a
If we were to-
spreadsheet. Mhm.
We were to change the logo and then change the name
It's-
later, that's a lot of.
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. So just the logo, and would be, in around 30,000. Some of those expenses, though, we would have incurred anyway, like I said, because there is a natural replenishment cycle. And it would not have to happen all at once.
Like hats and t-shirts, we issue those. to the
We
guys.
issue those regularly.
It has a name on the back of the sweatshirt.
So these are the things that I have on there. I have the staff time to run the design logo contests, present to the committee, get the board of directors approval for it. It would be around 5,000. Updating Infor, Hexnode, Microsoft and Zoom. That's about 1,000 versus if we had a new name, it would be about 25,000. Because we would have to change all of those URLs and go through those vendors and have them update some of those systems. Vehicle decals would be about 2,500, business cards, 2,500. Uniforms would be less than 5,000. Our contract expires this year anyway. So if we go with a new vendor, that's an expense we would be incurring anyway with a new vendor. Employee logo apparel, also less than 5,000, also an expense we would be incurring anyway. So
Well, I've gone through a lot of rebrandings and a lot of name changes and different roles, marketing roles I've had in the past. I think it's all a great idea. But I would not recommend modifying a logo if we have a pending decision on a name change. I think you wait and you do it all at the same time. And then we focus on the other activities around the 70th. I think it's just because the optics of it aren't good either, right? That you're
Mhm.
going through and you're, putting, you're creating all this, whether it's uniforms or logos on trucks or website updates or all these things. And then, first quarter of next year, let's say magically we're in a different situation with detachment and we do a name change and then we're doing it all again. I mean, I
Yeah.
think we have to be conscious of the money we spend.
I'm uncomfortable with that too. I really am. That's a big number to be getting into as we're trying everything that we can to detach so that we can lower our water rates and
mhm.
watching our nickels and dimes in a time when we're forced to spend tons of money on capital improvements. And, I looked at the fantastic multi-year projections that were being created in last month's financials and realized that we hit the wall at about 4 or 5 years with so many water lines that need to be replaced and can't be because we're out of capital money or we're arriving at a point when our capital resources are going to be a lot less. And I thought, you know, if there is ever an argument for detachment, there it is. I mean, we just will not make it. We will not get to the point where we have the financing to replace all those 50, 60-year-old water lines that are going sideways. And we'll continue to have huge operating expenses to, you know, replace lines or.
I
But-
agree. It might not be a
yeah.
good time to be spending this with the messaging we have coming out with
Yeah.
rates going up.
Yeah,
And I do wonder what
Yeah,
the
the rate.
ROI is on a rebrand or a name change.
sure.
It's always really hot. All I'm saying is that
No, I'm
let's tie the two things together.
Oh,
Yeah.
we
If-
absolutely want
if-
to. We were
if
just
we're-
thrown a curveball when they.
Yeah,
said a new
we
name.
anticipated, you know, just the logo refresh and doing that in conjunction with the 70th anniversary, I think makes a lot of sense from a messaging standpoint because it is sending a signal. We're looking towards the future. The detachment is tied towards that, towards, you know, getting us into a situation where we can
Mhm.
fund our capital projects and things like that.
exactly.
Well, can't
So-
we always explore the
Yeah.
name change and maybe even arrive at a decision and a logo, and but then it's just a matter of timing after that.
Sure.
So you have everything in place. And if the board says, okay, let's do it, all the decisions have been made and approved.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is that tie the two things together. So if there's a decision on a name, that it's a decision that we can spend the money on that whenever, if it goes into next year's fiscal budget and maybe it gets rolled out in 2024 or something, then do the logo stuff
Right,
around
right.
it.
Mhm.
And those kinds of things. And then, you know, we just have to decide on the 70th anniversary part,
Right.
how we handle
How
that
we
going
handle.
into December. I just
Yeah.
think you got to tie those two things together. I think it would send the wrong message to spiffy up the rainbow logo if we have every intention of considering changing.
So the board asked for an estimate of what it would cost to do a name change. So we'll probably present that to them at the
Yeah.
March board meeting.
Okay.
And then we'll get guidance on whether they want us to actually pursue that. And we can go from there, I guess.
Okay, I think so.
Yeah, and my only add to this would be, as you're looking at the naming, you're looking at the branding, then this is a time to bring the culture,
Mhm.
all the different things that kind of make up what this organization stands for today and what will stand for in the future. And you roll that all into the brand messaging.
Mhm.
And there's some great examples of that. And I have some stuff that I probably can share as well of how I went through some of these processes of kind of moving from an old brand to a new brand, and it
Mhm.
affects everything, how you communicate, how you write, how the website's written, the things that you want to say to your customers, how you talk about stuff. A recent example that just happened is Pacific Marine Credit Union became Frontwave.
Mhm.
You go back and watch how that brand changed and how they rolled that brand out, and then how it changed every way that they communicated and talked and what they focused on. They won lots of awards.
Yeah.
For that brand switch.
To do it right, to do a full initiative like what you're describing, it would require using an outside public relations firm. And that would probably be around, you know, $60,000 to $70,000 for that full campaign for their consulting piece on top of, you know, all of the actual costs to update of our
Sure.
signage and everything that we use the logo for.
Maybe we can do a slightly less expensive version.
Mhm.
Janine, did you have comments, questions on this?
No, I agree with that. I was thinking about when we were talking about the rate increases coming up.
Yep.
For the wastewater and everything else, I was thinking the same thing, so.
Okay. All right. Wow. That's an exciting topic for a communications committee.
Mhm.
Anything else on 21?
No,
22, public communications related media stories. Anything for the,
nothing.
nope. Moving on, 23, list of suggested items for the next scheduled communication and customer service committee meeting.
Elect officers.
Yep, we're bringing that one back. We're gonna bring back 21. See what happens on that. So 2021. I would bring 19 back to 18. I think we can drop 17. We're gonna bring back 16. We can drop 15. Let's hear about how 14 went. Keep 13. We've deferred 12. Drop 11. That's it.
Good.
Catching up on you. You did good.
I've got it too, so.
You got it.
And we will follow up on 21 because we'll get input from the board on the
Yes.
name change.
Excellent. All right, I think we're adjourned.